Big red cup, big green shirt. Sean has no idea where the market's headed today, so he's all right. I'm ready.
All right, so Ian, you know what we do here. We like to talk to traders, people who are putting real money in the markets, and we don't want to hear about your favorite setups. This is not about what you think about cocoa right here. That's not what this is about. We want to kind of get, behind the scenes. I think there's a lot of people out there, myself included, totally honest here. I would love to learn more about how you actually trade. I know you're a futures trader, but that's about all I know. I don't know the details of your strategy. Are you a mean reversion trader? Are you a trend follower? I think that you're a trend follower, but I'm going to allow you to answer. But let's get in a little bit to what kind of trader you are. What do you do?
Well, I'm not actually trading a lot of futures right now. I'm mostly trading Forex, spot Forex. And a lot of that has to do with my account size. I got a really small account right now and 3 screaming children just beyond those curtains. So, I'm not really
a lot of research to put out every day.
Yeah. So I kind of dialed it back a lot right now. And in terms of strategy, breakout strategy, swing trading, we'll hold positions a little longer, maybe month, 2 months, depending on the trend, depending on the trade. I wouldn't classify myself as a trend follower in the classical sense, like Jerry Parker. I don't buy 100-day highs and sell 50-day lows, and I certainly don't hold positions for nearly as long as he does. Or trend followers but yeah, that's the gist of it.
Okay. So you're more trading Forex.
Mostly. Yeah. So in trading Forex, I started trading shorter time frames. I started, instead of just buying breakouts, started implementing a mean reversion strategy as well. And part of that is that now, I'm putting out research. I'm sitting at my desk all day and I'm in front of the screen all day. It's always there. Yep. And in the past, I've, put in my orders in the morning when volume would come into the futures market, and then I'm out. I don't want to be in front of my computer. I don't want to be in front of that quote board. So when I first started working, putting out research on a daily basis, having that quote board up, checking what's going on in the market, needing to know what's happening, every tick or every, 15 minutes or so, was not beneficial for my accounts. So
I don't think it's beneficial for most people.
Yeah.
Are the trends different in the asset classes that you cover?
Currencies and commodities tend to mean revert. I think more so than equities.
Right. On market's trend.
Yes, but I mean they also trend. I mean, we saw some amazing trends in the currency markets in 2022.
Are they just I'm sure we'll larger, is it just larger ranges that you're kind of operating within in those markets? How are they different from equities?
Well, they just tend to mean revert. Even when we zoom out on a decade or even 2 decades, you see these big ranges. But in terms of how I'm operating in these markets, it's more I'm looking at daily or 1-hour charts, or sometimes maybe I'll really get down to those 5-minute charts. But that's a little too.
Ian, you don't need to tell us who your broker is that you trade through. But I'm curious, when you're trading Forex, when you're putting orders in, are you putting orders in? Are you actively putting those orders in? If there's a level that trips, then you go and put a limit order to get filled, or are you putting in stop orders to get in and out of trades?
Yeah, stop orders.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I have a question. Do you feel like you're getting fair fills on those stop orders?
No.
Okay. No, this is
no, because this brings up a really good point, Sean, because when I bring up the CPI releases and the FOMC meetings, and a lot of times like I'm really not like I don't know what's going to happen. I don't I'm not trying to forecast, but what I can forecast is the volatility. Right. There's going to be increased volatility. So in those situations, my position size, if I even have a position on, which a lot of times I don't even like to have a position on, I'll dial back that size and really loosen up my stops because they'll just get triggered.
Well, the reason why I'm asking about the stops is because granted, it's been 16 years since I last did a Forex trade. It was somewhere in the mid 2000s where I did them, but this was my experience, and I'm curious if you experienced this as well. This frustrated me to no end, and this was not just with one broker. This was with 3 different brokers. I kept changing because I didn't like what was happening. I was trading the most liquid, at least at the time. I think it's still the most liquid pair. That's the US Euro dollar or the Euro USD, right?
Yes,
the most liquid pair. That's what I was trading. So fills should not be a problem. What I was finding was happening was I would get into a trade. The range for the day would be, I don't know, 200 pips or whatever. I'm just making up a number. That would be the range for the day. My stop would be set below the outside of the day's range. So if we were a 200 point range, I'd maybe have my stop at about 150 pips below where the current market is, right? Mm-hmm. And okay, everything's good. I'd be watching the charts, market would be going like this, and I got my stop order working, and all of a sudden we go whoop, whoop, and my stop was taken out, like in and out. And I'm like, The first time that happens, you're like, oh man, terrible luck. Wow, I got totally shaken out. Something must have happened in the market. The second time that happens, you're like, you raise an eyebrow. Like that doesn't smell right. And then the third time that happens, you close your account. And I did this at 3 different brokers, and I kept noticing this happening. And I'm like, something ain't right here. And my theory, and you tell me if I'm close or if I'm dead wrong. My theory on that is that a lot of these, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of these retail Forex brokers are not really brokers at all. They're just bucket shops. They're taking the other side of your trade. They know where all the stops are and they can move the market, and there's no central limit book for all these pairs. There's no accountability. They could do whatever they want. And I think retail customers are getting screwed. That's a hot take for a guy like you who's actually trading these right now. So am I close?
I don't think you're far off. Yeah. I don't think you're far off at all.
So then if you agree with me, then that makes me wonder, why the hell are you trading this stuff?
I just like the markets, and I've managed to navigate them. I've had a couple bad fills here and there, but when I look back at those trades, like I could have avoided them. I should have avoided them. But I mean, FXCM was my first broker, and I started. I'm going to count with them in 2016. One of my big trade in 2016, right out of a kiss of death, right out of the gates. Like I was been trading for 3 months, and then Brexit hit, right? And I shorted the pound, and man, I shorted the pound for what was it, 4 or 5 days in a row? Like it was insane. And then I would slowly went on to lose my entire stake over the next 18 months. And then I signed up for the level 1 exam for the CMT.
You're trading at a big,
but no, it's that's a good take.
Hold on, but Ian, if you're trading at a big professional brokerage like FXCM or Interactive, is stop hunting like that, like Sean described, really a problem? Because I would want nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the stop hunting necessarily, but FXCM doesn't operate in the US anymore.
Probably for that reason.
Yeah, it came down to a bunch of fills that were really illegal. So I mean, you can find FXCM I think in Europe still, but not in the US.
All right. Well, since you brought them up, that was one of the brokers I did trade with, and I was like,
well, there you go.
It's happening to me.
So, all right, listen, we like dove right into this mess of futures trading. we need to rewind, right? Because this is strange, Ian. Like what you do is a little bit different from most of us, right? Most of us, we don't overthink it. We're trading US stocks, right? The most liquid market. You come in, you're a futures trader, right? So we make you head of FIC. I knew right away once I heard about your background, I was like, wow, what a weirdo, because we're a bunch of square pegs as traders or even technicians. And so like JC's telling me like, yeah, he's got background, like he lived in Hawaii, he was a surfer, he was like a bartender and stuff. I'm like, perfect. He's going to be a great trader. Like I already knew because, and Sean, maybe talk about that because while Sean's background is not uncommon, right? Like starting your career, trading in the pits, right? And then you become a trader, blah, 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 and you're doing what we do today. That makes sense. It's far less common than you would think. Do you guys agree?
Less common for the way Ian got to the markets?
No, like your traditional path. Trading the
Oh,
pits in Chicago's futures markets, right? That makes sense. That's a logical path.
yeah. I mean, I think that made sense up until maybe 10 years ago when the pits disappeared. I mean, let's be clear. I was never a pit trader. I did spend time on the floor. I rented a booth above a futures pit, but I was never a traditional pit trader.
You're in the pits. So,
That's awesome.
so Ian, you have this non-traditional background. How did you find like futures trading specifically as opposed to stock trading or something? I don't know, a little bit less funky.
Well, a friend gave me a good book. It was a Turtle Trader book. And I just ripped right through it. And I thought it was so interesting.
So what
And I was
book
like,
is
well,
this?
I just wanted to learn more.
Gary Parker? What book? Richard
It
Denning?
was a Turtle Trader. It's by
Michael Covell.
Yeah, Michael Covell. So then I finished that book, and then I picked up another one of his books on trend following, and started just flipping through that. And then I was reading about Dunn Capital and Chesapeake Capital, and I was like, okay, how are they doing this? And I go to the back of the book, and I'm reading. It's like, yeah, dude, 90% of Dunn Capital's trades were automated. I'm like, okay. This is 2012. And I didn't know how to code.
Mhm.
And I'm like, how that just seems, I wasn't, it was overwhelming for me.
Strides at Dunn Capital. That's that firm that lives where your parents live in Florida. That's the one I was telling you about a few weeks ago.
Stuart?
Yeah, in Stewart. That's where they're at.
And isn't Michael Covell the guy who booked it to Vietnam?
Yeah, dude,
Love it.
that's my biggest regret from our trip last summer, Straz. I totally forgot to try to hook up with Michael Covell when we were in Saigon. He lives in Saigon. He totally, we were right there.
It's not that we forgot that we were there for 36 hours. It's really not.
No, we thought about it. We thought about it too late. Like, should have advanced planned.
All right, so you read a book and you were like, "Oh, I could do this," and you opened.
No, I didn't think I could do it. I was just interested in it. In no way did I think I could do it. And then the same friend who gave me the Turtle Trader book turned me on to the technical analysis, like Technical Analysis 101 by Myers. So I picked it up and I devoured it. Absolutely devoured it. I flipped to the back of the book, start rummaging through the bibliography, looking at other suggested reading. About 3 books. One of them was Edwards and McGee, and that was really it for me.
That's
And yeah, I
had that light bulb moment. Okay,
light bulb moment. Yeah, light bulb moment, because then it just everything made sense. The psychology behind the price action and the shape that it takes place on a chart, and being able to identify support and resistance, and then to be able to measure your risk by doing so.
So as you're reading this book and you're learning this new skill set, you're excited about it. What is your life like? Like, what are you doing? What is your day to day as you're giving yourself this, self-education in TA?
I was working in restaurants. I was living in San Francisco.
Bartender.
Just working in the Ferry Building.
Yep.
Selling seafood and Dungeness crab, surfing, getting up on the mountain as much as possible. I had all the time in the world. Then I didn't realize it, but I had all the time in the world.
Okay, so Ian, when I'm in San Francisco, I like to go to Skoma's for my crab. Am I doing that right? It's at the Fisherman's Wharf, Skoma's. It's like out there on the water near like where the seals are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you really go wrong with Dungeness crab
So,
in San Francisco. Like, yeah,
how long were you in San Fran?
about 7 years, almost 7 years. Yeah, loved it. Love the city. I had such a good time. You know, when we were up in Sonoma last month and stopping by and seeing some friends on the way out. But
Is that where you met your wife in San Francisco?
no, I met her here in Florida. I was living in Hawaii and she was in San Francisco and we went back and forth for a few years. You know, I was trying to pull her towards the island. She was trying to pull me to the Bay Area and she obviously won.
So now tell this story. How did Hawaii happen? And talk to us about that because that's pretty cool. No?
Just chasing waves. Chasing waves. I figured
Hold
out
on.
very early on in life.
You're a surfer.
Yeah, yeah, but to find what brings you joy
Yeah.
and then do it. It's really that simple. That's all you got to do. I mean, you got to take care of yourself and all that jazz, but that's the heart of it. And that's what I did. Like I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I still don't. Hopefully this trading thing works out. It's pretty challenging. And that's part of why I like trading so much is that it is so difficult and it always will be. It always will be a challenge because of me, right? But anyways, yeah, I went out to Hawaii to surf and just fell in love with the island and the people and stayed for
So
almost a decade.
were you like a big wave surfer? Like did you like were you like doing like competitions and stuff or like
No,
okay.
no. I surfed all the marquee spots on the North Shore. I lived on the North Shore for a few years. I wouldn't say I
Wait,
was
which
a
island
big
is that?
wave surfer.
Which
You
island is
know,
that?
that's Oahu.
Oahu. Okay.
Oahu, yeah. Um,
Because that
but
shit's dangerous, man. I watched that documentary where they take those big waves like in Portugal or whatever by like the cliffs. Like that's crazy.
it
No?
is. Yeah, I didn't do anything like that, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, like no, 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 no.
I mean, my brother's like you, Ian. So my brother right now, like he's like a teacher. He's got his own life and he's doing his thing in Brooklyn, but he's like in El Salvador like 3 times a year or something. Just and my mom is like worried sick, and he's like, I'm chasing the waves, ma. And
Yeah,
nobody really understands him, but he keeps doing
good for him.
it.
Good for him.
What's the malfunction in the brain that causes people to want to go chase waves? What is it, Ian? What's the draw?
Because
Oceans.
when you're riding a wave, you can't be anywhere else besides on that wave in that moment,
Is it
right?
like a
You
Zen thing?
have to be present.
It's a Zen
Like,
thing, right?
yeah, it's you have to be present. And then, it's physical activity. You feel good afterwards, like the water. And then you're in nature and nature is so healing. It just has a lot going for it.
So, as someone who has tried to catch a wave but never successfully caught a wave, I could tell it must be exhilarating. The feeling I can imagine must be exhilarating because I have
It's also a lot of hard work.
just
You know,
paddled out, dude. I was pissed. Once I
Yeah.
paddled out there, I'm like, do I get like a 10-minute break now? Like control my asthma? He's like, no, pop up. I'm like, I'm not popping up. I'm laying down.
All right, Ian, since you brought it up, we're kind of going all over the place, but you brought up the Zen thing, the being present thing. Can we talk about this past year, the experience you had in Oregon? Can we talk about that? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm fascinated by it. You. I mean, I'll let you tell the story, but you went to Oregon to go on like a Zen meditation retreat, right?
Mhm.
Do I have that right?
Yeah, they call it Rohatsu. And it's kind of like their New Year's celebration. And I don't practice Zen. A good friend of mine practices, and this is his. I guess his home base where he used to live and practice regularly. These were his people, and he invited me, so I went, and it was amazing. I've been on a couple of 10-day silent meditations and practice Vipassana, which is a slightly different. It's a very different approach, actually. But same goal of just being present. But the Zen practice was beautiful. It was beautiful because unlike Vipassana, you're basically meditating the entire time. So you're not just meditating and being present when you're sitting on the cushion practicing Zazen. but you're meditating from the moment you wake up, because everyone has a job to do, everyone has a role, and you're in that moment doing your duty, doing what's necessary, serving everyone. Um, Even just walking, we would go on what they call kinhin, which are like meditative walks. So we'd sit, have the morning session. We get up and then we would walk through this beautiful neighborhood. Birds flying by, dogs. We had one dog would run up, every morning and then get in line behind us and walk in the single file.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Wait, so you were walking through a neighborhood? Like, were there homes and people around?
Yeah, yeah, it was.
Were they looking at you funny because you were all quiet and walking in single file?
Yeah, but they're part of the hood. So, and they've been there for 20 plus years. So everyone knows. Everyone knew that it was, Rahatsu, and people were waving, and yeah, they knew what was going on.
Ian, what made you do this?
I was actually trying to get into a Vipassana sit, and I was waitlisted. So I had invited my friend to a Vipassana sit, and he was like, "Hey, come with me." But I was, 2023 was a very difficult year for me. A lot of challenges, and then, my wife was due to have another baby, or we were due to have another baby, in early February. So it was a good time for me to get quiet and to get still and to prepare myself for right now, and kind of get rooted back into a meditative practice on a daily basis, which I have, which is amazing. In the past, I would go to a Vipassana, sit for 10 days in silence, and it was just mind blowing, earth shattering. I would come out a changed man, and then a month later, I might be sitting, a couple times a week. And then 2 months later, I'm right back into the same routine as before. So no, it's been working this time.
So talk to us about, like, what are the benefits of this for you? So obviously you're doing this because it helps you, probably, helps you in your personal life, but also your trading. Like, what do you get out of it? Why do you sit and meditate for 10 days straight with no iPhone?
That's the part Straz would have the hardest time with, is no iPhone.
There was no iPhone, right?
No phone.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, no phone. No reading material, no writing material. Yeah, no, it's intense. Yeah, it's really intense. No talking, right?
I like that.
Very, very little talking, only when you have to. Again, it forced me to get very, very quiet, and the body hates that. The body hates it, the mind hates it, but once you get to a certain point, it can really the awareness really kind of get down and start dealing with all those things. At least I was able to deal with some of those things that I just wasn't aware of previously.
Because life gets in the way, right? You're just too busy and you don't have time to think about the things that need to be thought about.
Yeah, or they haven't surfaced. They're so buried, below, the constant pings on the phone and the this and the that and the kids screaming right now on the other side of that door, stuff like that,
I feel like what happens with most people, right? Like, there's all this stuff going on around us, but what I see too many people kind of doing in the real world is they bog themselves down in busyness. Sometimes it's like nonsense busyness. They're always moving, they're always doing something. And I'm not going to say that, it's not Zen, but it's probably the least Zen thing ever, to constantly keep yourself busy. You're never taking a step back. Like, the moments when you could just take a step back and think about the world, think about your life, that's Zen for me in my life, right? When I'm stepping back. But if I'm constantly doing something, constantly busy, and I don't get to wake up one morning and say, I don't know what I'm doing today, I'm going to go for a walk, then there's no Zen in my life. It's just crazy mayhem. And I think a lot of people fall into that.
Yeah, I could say, man, when I was like the last year of high school and then all through college, like I prided myself on being like the busiest guy I knew. Like I had multiple jobs. I was involved in multiple student organizations. I was working at a radio station. I was like doing all this crazy stuff. And like I wore that like a badge of honor. Like, look, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm making shit happen. And now I think back to that time, I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I'm like, man, if I could have just like focused on one thing and gone deep, I could be a, world class at that one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian, talk to us about how, because when you started your trading journey and your kind of adventure into the markets, you were what, a single guy, like a bachelor living in Hawaii, surfing in your spare time, bartending. Now you got a full family, 3 kids. Is it different? And how do you balance that? Kind of how have you kind of adapted to this new adult daddy life?
Well, it's very different in that I'm not trading nearly as much. Um,
You just had to tone it down a little bit.
I had to tone it down a bit, and I don't have capital to throw at the markets. I've got the kids to think about.
Take care.
Working out ways and some strategies potentially, pull a larger stack together here. But I'm not in any hurry.
Yeah.
Which is great because I'm really taking the time to develop my plan, because in the past, I've tried to trade like my mentors, or trade like people that I looked up to, and trade their strategies. And I know you guys heard it before. I'm sure people listening have heard it many times before. You can't trade like someone else. You have to trade a plan that is suited for you. It's got to be your plan. It's got to fit your personality. So I'm taking my time and really developing that.
By the way, I'm in awe of that, Ian, because I think so many people, and myself absolutely included, so many people are in such a hurry to make money as fast as they can that they go in without assessing the risks properly, and they're back to square one or worse over and over and over again. And I can say for me personally, I'm always like scheming out different harebrained ideas to trade options and things on my own in my own account. And I'll get one idea and I'll be all excited about it. And I jump all in and I'll do it for like 2, 3, 4 weeks. And then I'll be like, oh shit, this isn't working the way I want. And then boom, I'm going and finding something else and I jump right into that. Like I wish I had more patience and like, I have like, I think maybe my major defect in trading is that I want the market with real money to prove to me that I'm wrong, instead of me like, why don't you take a step back and like, watch this and maybe paper trade it or whatever and figure out if it's not going to work, instead of like losing money every time like an idiot.
Yeah. Well, the thing about paper trading though is, you don't have the emotions with the paper trading. You don't have that's the reality. And that's, it's not the market that we're trading against. We're trading against ourselves. And, that's part of why I love this so much, is that it's so challenging. But to get back, I've been burned quite a few times, and there's few things more painful for a trader than to be on the sidelines because they don't have another option, forced to the sidelines only to sit and watch.
Is it forced?
The trend go without you. That's a tough one to sit through. So,
but I wonder, Ian, it sounds more like you're just prioritizing the more important things in your life above trading. And I think that's pretty remarkable. What you're basically doing is saying, well, my family and my job comes first. And if there's not time for trading, I'm not going to force it. I've been in a position 4 or 5 years ago where I was working 12 to 15 hours for this company, doing different things. We were growing. It was exciting. We were working a lot. And I felt like I still had to be trading, because if I wasn't in my role, it would be cheap. And I was trading when I probably shouldn't have been, because all of my time was spent working. I was just like putting on trades randomly, like like I have to be involved in the market. I'm the director of research, right? But really, I should have been growing the business and worrying about that and staying the fuck out of the market because I wasn't able to journal my trades, track my trades, manage them responsibly, right? And it was a huge miss because I didn't prioritize my life right at that point.
Yeah.
So I think it's admirable that you could take a step back in certain periods, and the market's not going anywhere either, right?
It's
one thing I know about the
not.
market. There's going to be opportunities tomorrow.
Yes, and that's the one thing the market always promises is that a new opportunity right around the corner. And being able to sit in front of my computer or just be part of the markets over the past 8+ years, I've been able to see a couple cycles. I've been able to actually be in it, and man, there's no rush. There's absolutely no rush.
Ian,
I got to focus on these guys. And the Perlman, was it HFW, health, family, work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put trading behind that. And like for a long time, like I wasn't putting my health and my family first. I thought I was, but I was sitting in front of my computer for 12, 16 hours a day, not getting a lot done. Yeah. You want to talk about spinning wheels and being really busy, but not actually getting anything done? Oh man, I was great at that. I'm still pretty good at it.
I'm interested. I'm interested in your take on this. You mentioned a moment ago that trading is a battle against yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So it's great that you know that. Not every trader knows that. You are fully aware of that. That's great. Now, being aware of that, when you have a moment or a period of time in your trading where you're sucking, you're losing money, nothing's working, and you know that it's not the market's fault, it's your fault. How do you balance the line between staying productive, staying positive, or going the other way and internalizing it and taking it personally and being like, oh shit, I'm the worst. I should not be doing this. How do you balance that line? Do you struggle with that?
Yeah, of course. Of course I struggle with that. It's hard not to get really, really down on yourself. At least I struggle with not really, being negative and kicking myself around for chasing, think I'm swing trading when in reality I'm day trading. That happens. And that's the pound trade. I mentioned that earlier. I mean, that was just straight down. The pound went straight down for like 4 or 5 days, and I was just foot on the gas. So even now, like I've gotten a lot better about it, but I still like to press the gas well after the trade's already done. Right. And like I said, I've gotten a little better at it over the years, but being aware of your weaknesses. And when it comes to like emotional biases and triggers, there's really not anything, at least for me, that I found that works besides setting up some sort of physical practice or physical barrier to either just make to where those triggers just never happen, or once they do, you have a plan, right? So taking a walk, right? 2 losing trades in one day, like I'm done. I'm not gonna try to get this one right. I'm out, right? I'm out. I'm done. I'm not trading anymore today. If I'm worked up, then I have to leave the office. I have to go outside. Maybe I take the kids on a bike ride, or we go walk down to the park. Who knows? But it's not sitting in front of my computer taking another trade. But yeah, it's different for everybody. But yeah, I still struggle with it. And as long as I'm a discretionary trader, I'm going to continue to struggle with it.
Yeah. So you have a house full of kids and a wife. 3 kids and a wife at your house. You work from home.
Yeah.
When you're having a shitty day and you want to go for a walk to clear your head or take the kids on a bike ride, are you able to kind of leave it in the office and be daddy or husband and be like a regular guy? Or do you have a hard time, dragging your bad vibes into the rest of the house? Because I know I do. My wife will tell you, my wife knows not to ask anymore about how my trading's going because, she could just tell by looking at my face sometimes. Because I'm just grumpy and I'm like, I give yes and no answers, like I don't like have conversations like yes, no, everything's short. Like she knows I'm having a bad day.
Yeah, no, it's really tough because you can't see it here, but on just the other side here, instead of books, we have another bookshelf over here. It's just toys, just covered in toys. And they have all, so this sunroom here is half office, half playroom. So we don't refer to it as the office or the playroom. It's the sunroom. So this is a mutual shared space. So yes, I have to be on it. I really have to be on it, and it's challenging. Luckily, I'm in a situation where what I'm trading, how much I'm trading, it doesn't affect whether or not I can pay the bills. Right? I'm not doing this. I'm just doing this to build wealth. To build my accounts and start trading other markets. So I've got that going. Which, in the past, there have been short periods of time where I was actually trying to trade for a living. It's like, it was really.
No, Ian, you and I parallel existence in that way. As you know, I've been trading for 25 years and I think I've talked about this on the podcast in the past, but on 4 or 5 occasions, I've lost count, but on 4 or 5 occasions over the last 25 years, I've made wholehearted attempts to make trading my only income. Like I quit whatever job I was doing. I'm like, I'm just going to trade. This is it, because I was doing well. I was like, okay, I finally figured it out. And every single time without fail, Ian, I struggled. I didn't necessarily lose money, but I stopped making money. I was like, I can't, it's a total head game. All of a sudden, when the rent check is on the line or next week's grocery bill is on the line, I can't operate under that stress. So for me, I'm very grateful over the last 15 years. I've structured my life in a way that the last 3 jobs I've had have been market related. And it's been encouraged for me to trade as I do my job. So I've had the best of both worlds. I know everyone's not that fortunate, but for me, it's the best thing for my trading is if I'm just trading, I'm a basket case. It sucks.
Yeah, scared money. I can't hear you, Steve.
Steve, you went on mute there, buddy.
Sorry, guys. I'm dealing with construction out here. They're like drilling and doing window stuff. So I don't think anybody can pull this off, right? Like when you hear that somebody's trying to trade to pay their bills, I tried to do it several times in my career. Whenever I was trading to pay the mortgage wasn't getting paid. Thank God I had help. I call my dad, I need you to bail me out. Very lucky, very grateful. I'm blessed to have that, right? Now everybody has that. Anybody who's trading to pay the bills or trading under pressure like that is not winning. That's only in movies. That's really only in movies. I think that's the hardest. Everyone listen, it's the worst thing that you could try to do as a new trader. Yeah. Don't put yourself in a corner like that. Trading is a luxury.
Yeah,
it really is. Yeah.
We interviewed a guy recently and we talked to him at our event in Sonoma, Michael Martin, and he talked about how trading it can be an expensive hobby, and there's nothing wrong with that. Trading can be a hobby, and you might do well at it, but you have to treat it like that. You have to be aware that it's a hobby, and you might make money. Great, but if you think of it as a hobby, most hobbies cost money. So fine, do that. You just know what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's the key: knowing what you're doing. And if you want to make money, it's not easy. It's hard work. You got to do the things nobody else wants to do. For me, it's waking up and sitting on my cushion for 20 minutes. Yesterday was a great example. I woke up 30, 45 minutes late, decided I didn't have time to sit. Right? So I was like, I'm not going to sit. I'm going to hurry up and make some coffee, get to my desk. I've got these things I got to do. Get the things done, right? I get my work done, but the rest of my day, absolute mess. I was like, sharp with with my wife. I was sharp with the kids, and it was, I just, yeah, it's really important. And I'm lucky to have all of these people in my life on the other side of the curtain um, that need me to show up every day and be my best.
Yeah.
Because all the things I got to do to be a dad and a husband are the important things that I need to develop to be a good trader. And I'm just,
That's
just
great.
so incredibly fortunate to be here in this position.
Because there are days where you just want to stay in bed. You can't do that.
No, you can't.
Fucked
It's a
up.
thing when you got kids, you can't have bad days. You're gonna have them, but it's like you can't have bad days with the kids. It's
So,
tough. It's really tough. And then you talk about beating yourself up, and beat myself up over a couple of bad trades, but so when things aren't good with the family, it's hard to work and trade for sure.
so it's really clear that you know yourself well and you understand how your personal life plays a huge role in your trading life and that there's a dynamic there. So you have to take care of one to take care of the other, and one comes first, right?
Yes.
Talk about the importance of stepping away, taking these walks, doing these meditations. It helps you a lot with like, all right, Ian has one of the toughest jobs at All Star Charts. You have to come up with, report ideas, blog post ideas, something to write about in the bond market, the commodities market, the Forex market every week. So you're doing a lot more than just trading in the markets, right?
Hmm.
So like, does stepping away just help you kind of, clean your brain a little bit, kind of clear your mind out and help you come up with different ideas and topic ideas and posts? And then is there a complement there to trading? Like, do you let those kind of interconnect and you'll do a post about gold while you're trading a breakout in gold or something like that? Or do you keep them separate?
Oh no, yeah, I definitely write about things that I'm doing in the market for sure, 100%. Um, I haven't traded all of the names that I've written about in the gold rush, but I've traded quite a few.
It's hard.
Um, it's hard. That's the thing. It's hard when you got 21 or 22, or no, we have like 31 now, 31 or 32 trade ideas that we have out in the gold rush. It's like I can't take all those trades. But no, there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of overlap, and definitely stepping away and taking that walk. I've shifted my walk to the middle of the day now, and I
Oh,
really like that midday walk.
breaks things up.
Yeah. I do a dog walk most days in the middle of the day, and it's great. It's important.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of overlap. But yeah, trying to figure out where rates are headed. In the near term, what the dollar is doing, and I love all that stuff, and I love how it complements our research into the equity space, because none of these markets, even when the intermarket relationships aren't behaving the way we would expect them to, or traditionally, they're still connected, they're still reacting to each other. So it's a puzzle. I love that puzzle. It's constantly shifting. And it's just so engaging.
What I find that when I step away and I do my walks or my rounds, I'm always like, I'm a big puzzle guy, right? I'm always the puzzle. So I'm at my desk all day and it's just a puzzle. And most of the times I'm not solving the puzzle. No one's ever solving the puzzle. When I walk away though, and kind of clear my head, I'm thinking a lot less about, okay, so if dollar's up and rates are down, then it means this. I'm not thinking about the picture or the outlook or the research. I'm thinking about this is what it is. And here's how do I react to this environment? Like that's when I get away from the screens, it goes away from solving the puzzle to, okay, this is the information I have. What are you doing, Steve?
Yeah, that's
Steve,
great.
and similarly, I can relate to that, Steve. For me, when I'm at my desk and I'm trying to solve the puzzle and I can't solve the puzzle, and I'm trying too hard to solve the puzzle, and then I go away and go for a walk or go for a hike, and I'm not even thinking about the puzzle, and all of a sudden, boo, it'll just like hit me like a bolt of lightning, like, oh, that's what I need to do. And I can't explain it. And I don't understand how it happens, but it happens.
Brains are amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're all bullish walking. That's the takeaway from this.
Yep.
Bullish walking.
Yep.
Ian,
All right.
yeah.
Ian, to tell me, okay, so you have a situation that I think a lot of people that watch these podcasts can relate to. You're a trader who's trading, but you wish you could trade bigger money, bigger account. You want to have more responsibility eventually when you're ready for it. You're not ready for it yet, but you want to be ready for it.
Yeah.
If you had access to whatever capital you wanted, right? Let's say you had $1 million. What would be the perfect trading strategy or trading vehicle for you? What do you think you would do with that?
$1 million right now?
Yeah.
Cues.
Sell naked puts in the queues.
Yeah, I would definitely be trading large cap tech right now for sure, 100%.
I'm not talking about but I mean, like, would you try to be more of a long-term trend follower? Would you be more of a mean reversion trader? Would you focus on commodities or Forex? Like,
I would
with this.
Yeah, I would build probably a very simple trend following system, something along the lines of buy 100-day highs, sell 50-day lows.
Yeah.
Something very, very simple, where either those trades are automated for me, or I get the signal and then I have to go in and execute. That's what I would do right now.
Yeah. No, but you're saying something very important that I don't think a lot of people understand. And you're saying that if you had the capital you wanted to do whatever you wanted in the world with trading, you would do something super simple. I think there's a lot of people out there who would think, oh, I got $1 million. I could do this strategy. I could do this strategy. I could do like 17 different strategies, and I could trade every market, and they would overcomplicate themselves and dig themselves a huge hole. And you went the other way, which I love that you went the other way.
I've made a lot of mistakes. I've got a lot of scars, which is part of the process. At least for me, there's a lot of really smart people out there that can just learn from other people's lessons and other people's mistakes. I've got to make them myself. It's just what it is.
Yep. So with all those mistakes and with all this experience, like, here you are here today, like, how does it feel? Do you feel like it's coming together? Like, do you feel like you're learning from your mistakes? Are things falling into place? Like,
yeah, things are getting, my trading's getting better, but I'm starting to get better. I'm starting to just be a better dad, be a better husband. And they're incremental kind of changes. And I've noticed just around the house, like, that, the energy's getting a little better around here. And I know that, I have a lot of work to do. That's why I'm really in no hurry to put together $1 million stake and start start putting my trend following program into action. Because I still have quite a bit of work to do, and I always will, which is great. But yeah, no, it's heading in the right direction.
I love the idea that being a good dad is good for the P&L. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Straz, it's time to get to work. You need to get some babies coming. Let's go.
I'm just thinking I could juice my returns over here.
Yeah. Kids are very challenging. They're my teachers every day.
The thing about kids,
about myself and all my shortcomings.
I mean, there's so many cliches about kids, but one that's relevant here is that you, without trying to purposely put yourself in this position, you are putting yourself in a position of being a teacher. And when you are a teacher, you don't know anything until you could teach somebody else. And I'm not talking about trading. I'm talking about life, right? And when your kids are having a bad day and you're trying to calm them down and let them see the brighter side of whatever is going on, like, that takes skills, and you don't have that skill until you could teach it to someone else. And having kids puts you in that role of learning by teaching.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
You haven't mastered anything if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Well, Ian, it's the middle of trading day. We've already taken up too much of your time, and I know Straz has got to go YOLO into something crazy right now. So, hey, seriously, this has been an incredibly enlightening conversation, and I think there's a lot more to dig into. We'll probably have to have you on again. I think everyone at All Star Chart should be on our thing at some point, because we all have unique stories to share, and I think yours is the most unique. And certainly, I love the energy that you give to me, to everybody else. Your whole Zen thing. I'm totally into that. When you told me about that Oregon trip, I was like, I'm already plotting. Like, okay, how do I do something like that? I want to do something like that. That's which by the way, going back to that real quick. I had one question, then we got off to the topic. But at the end of one of those long retreats, whether it's 5 days, 10 days, whatever, where you're basically silent meditation, when you can finally talk again, is it like weird getting that muscle going? Is like this is just a technical question, but like, did you like lose your voice? You're like,
oh no, I didn't lose my voice, but yeah, it's strange to start interacting with people again. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is.
You didn't speak for 10 days.
Yeah, like 9.5 days. Yeah, you can speak the last day because they don't want to just let you out into the real world. They want to give you 1 day to kind of. You can't have human contact. Like you can't touch other people, but you can.
It's a hell of a lot harder than it sounds. It sounds easy. Kind of like trading. Trading sounds easy, but it's incredibly hard. It's incredibly hard.
Yeah. I remember the second sit I went on, I think it was like day 2 or day 3. And I was just sitting on my bed and my legs were stretched out in front of me and I was just rubbing my knees and my thighs. I just looked up the ceiling. I was like, really? This is what I do?
When you told me,
I take a vow of silence and I meditate for 10 straight days, for like 12, 14 hours a day. Really?
What would be a fun group exercise when we're all together again in Chicago later in a few months is we should get all of us in a room and see who can sit the longest without talking.
Well, we already know it's going to be one of you two guys.
Yeah.
Fine. We should do it.
Who do you think would crack first? I think it'd be JC.
Oh, JC wouldn't even sit in the room. He wouldn't.
Yeah, forget about it.
Listen, we're so lucky to have both of you Zen guys on our team at All Star Charts because a bunch of us are just like, hotheads, crazy, not Zen people. So like you guys really balance us out. It's fantastic. Lucky to have you again.
Well, Ian,
thanks for part of this team.
Yeah, Ian, thanks for doing this, buddy. We really appreciate having you on, my man.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks, guys.